This is Past But Not Gone podcast. 30 years of Proem Ministries.
Proem, 30 years. Welcome to our podcast. We are very happy to have you back with us today. And today, special guests with me, Mały Dwulat, Proem Ministries Director, Edyta and Daniel Wawrzyniak, Za Kościele Camp, Za Kościele Center Directors. Well, we have to go back again in the story. I hope you're ready. I know our listeners, our viewers are ready for sure. And we will go back to the time when there was, once upon a time, there was no Za Kościele. And it seems like ages, probably for you. It seems like ages to me. But truly, there was a time when there was no Za Kościele. Mały, you must remember this.
It was, Za Kościele was, but we didn't have it.
That's right.
At that time.
So
but
for
we
us, it
did
didn't
have
exist.
the ministry at that time was really going on, and we were doing camps in different places. And one special place was Ostruda, talking about the Daniel and Edyta basketball camps there. It was kind of the turning point almost in doing camps for us, because the bigger numbers of the campers, they just started coming to Ostruda for the basketball. Daniel, you remember that story when we were starting with that?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the 90s, 93, when we started the first camp. That was the years of Michael Jordan. So basketball was flourishing here in Poland. There was on Polish TV, everybody was watching. There was many players, and we had our first Christian team in Poland, in Warsaw, Warsaw Brothers. So there was a lot of young people around us. So we said we're going to do basketball camps. We want to do it, and so we had enthusiasm. We had people, and we didn't have much expertise of how to do it. We didn't have connection with the coaches. We were all kind of amateurs that love basketball. So the first camp was fun because we had a videotape. Mały brought videotape from the States, four videotapes of practice by Pistol Pete Maravich.
Maybe for our younger viewers, we need to explain.
Videotapes.
It was like those of us who can see us, it was like a...
It's like a book, plastic book.
But it wasn't a book.
No, you put it in this little something...
Box
with a hole in the middle, you play, and you had a TV, and we didn't have even projector, we had a TV, which was not as this. So we watched the practice for like 20 or 30 minutes, and then we ran to the court, and we try to repeat what we've seen, come back, go again, and then we play. And it was fun. It was great. It went very well. So next year, we're happy to have some guests from the States. Cedarville Bible School and Cedarville College coach came, and then some other people start coming. And this camps was gradually growing up to, at one point, we had 3 camps over there in Struda in one summer.
Well, 3 camps in Ostruda, but at the same time, we were still continuing camps for children and for youth in other places, right?
Yeah, right. Well, actually, there was a time when Edyta started working with us and with Daniel in 1993, Edyta, right? It was
Yes,
1993,
correct.
and then we were doing a teens camp and added the sport camps, and still praying for the place for us to do the permanent place, right?
Yes, every day. I remember every day we came to work to our office on Chmielna Street, and we started from a prayer. Monday, next day, and weekends at home. Yeah.
And you were praying for
our place, for our camp, because we're renting different facilities all over Poland, and we've been up north, we've been down south, we've been northeast, and we've been in the western part, and then there was some, traveling.
every year.
We had to pack our office, Xerox machine, all the stuff. Most of these places didn't have a meeting room big enough for 200 campers that we had coming, so we had to rent this huge circus tent that we had to pack it on the big truck, take it and set it up, and then bring the chair and sit. And sometimes we had to fight for life or fight for the tent to keep it, because little tornado came and trying to take our tent away. I remember in Harzykowie, that was the camp that we were holding to the ropes. so the roof will not fly away.
Yeah.
And that was, now we can laugh at this, but that time it wasn't very funny because we had to save the property, but also it was dangerous for our campers, for our staff. So that was the part of our life, which is okay, because we knew it's important, because the camps were great. We had a lot of young people coming and giving life to Christ. So that was a part of the everything that we had to add to make it happen. But as Maui and Edita was saying, we're praying every day for our own place, permanent place, so we can have it, so we can do these camps with all this hustle, but also we can do other stuff all year round. And that was our prayer. We're looking for this
That's right.
place.
And there was a time when we were doing camps, starting in one place in the different corners of Poland, but then we were doing 2 camps at the same time, or the 3 camps in the same time: basketball, children's camp, and the teens camp.
And mission camps.
And the mission camp, like a Serve the City product. Actually, the contact camps, they were having a beginning back there in mid-90s. The staff was growing, staff in the sense of the volunteers, because at that time, staff was 4 of us, or 3 or 4 of us full-time. Even Daniel at that time, I think you were still student, right?
I was still
at that time.
Seminary. Yes.
And I remember when we were doing a camp for the teenagers.
Seminary.
Theology student.
That's right. Yeah, we were doing camp for teenagers, for children, and basketball at the same time. So I was traveling in between those places and covering so much miles. I never done it before and later in my life, traveling so much and so often. But it's a word of effort, because we did see the many decisions for the Lord, but at the same time a lot of fun, because I guess talking about the camps, something what we bring, if I may say, not new, because we've done camps before in Poland, even under the communist time. We did a camp, small, on the smaller scale, but they were more like a churchy type of the camps, with a lot of teaching and very focus on getting as much information as possible over the campers. I was a camper at that time. I remember like 6 hours.
You promise we will not go that far in time,
so
because
far.
we will never be able to go.
But those camps, we did a Bible hour, solid one, and then we did a lot of sport, a lot of fun, a lot of music, and it was bringing something new to the ministry of the Christian camping of that time at Poland. It's just for us. It's important, and I believe this for the campers who are today sending their children to our camps because of the good experience of that times.
And they're sending them to Zakościele, but there's no Zakościele yet. We're looking for a place, and you mentioned daily prayers at the office. Maui, you must have had an idea. Of what kind of space we're looking for. Where did you want to go? Do you remember, the parameters of the right place? Or did you give these instructions to God? Or please give us that place in this location? Or what were you looking for?
Yeah, we were praying. We were pretty specific in prayers. Because we were from Warsaw, we said, Lord, give us a camp, but not farther than 100 kilometers, 60 miles away from that. And then we just thought, okay, it would be nicer to go west than east, because east is too close to the eastern border, Belarus or so. And we were thinking about capacity, 150, 200 people. And so we were praying like that, and trying to find in the area of Warsaw, a little bit north of Warsaw, Zalew, like man-made lake over there, visiting, knowing all the owners of that properties that time. And remember that there was a beginning of the transformation, political transformation in Poland. So Poland became the democracy. So there was not only state-owned facilities, but it was a privately owned. So some of these private owners of these places were very open. And Daniel is having a good story when we were just about to buy one,
yes,
right?
Yes, we had one almost I think we believe that's the one for us, kind of, because this is the place. It was nice. He had I remember he has this one building the shape of the mushroom, kind of like a pole and wider, so it was pretty cool. And something fell through, because finally the owner backed off, or he wanted more money, and we decided not to buy it. We couldn't get it. Thanks God, because it's really nothing comparing to what we have today. God has better place prepared for us, not that. Although we were kind of sad, we were discouraged, because we thought this is the place for us, but it wasn't. And even we came I don't know if you remember, we came to this area once because there was a land by the Zalew Sulejowski, which is other up north
true.
of Tomaszów, and there was just piece of land. There was beautiful lake, and we were thinking seriously about it. And we came after a few months to see it again, and I remember there was water was filled with the green
Something.
smelly, and we said, "Oh no,
Well, but then
that's not the place."
But then one day you received a phone call from Tomaszów.
That's right.
Somebody was calling you to come and see a property somewhere in the middle of nowhere, in a sense, in the middle of forest, in Zakościele, and you guys went.
Well, the call like that, you don't refuse. We just jump into the car and drove it 100 kilometers. By the way, Zakościele and Warsaw signs 100 kilometers in between. I was like, oh, that's a good sign. If you talk about that, this
And
kind
it's
of
southwest,
that's
so it's
right.
not east.
Southwest toward the center of the country. Walk around the property, bushes like Indiana Jones,
And the bridge.
movies.
And the
and
bridge,
bridge.
yeah, it was like a jungle, like a Jumanji.
And the price too high for us, so we wanted to rent it for one summer, but there was no really interest from the owners who went bankrupt 7-8 years ago. Can you imagine a place like that with this nobody without the taking care of it? Got everything here, what you can imagine. We say, okay, well, let's start praying for that and thinking, well, maybe that's the place. And we did have friends from Southeast Christian Church. Our friends came just to see it, Matt Chaffin and Brett DeYoung. And I mentioned this in purpose because when they came here, they looked around and they said, Maui, you really want this place? So this looks pretty denied, etc. A lot of work. But they were so encouraging to us and so helpful with the decision process. And as well with the financial support, there was no doubt for us this is the place for us to take. And we waited a year because it was price was too high for that time. Then after 1 year, ad was placed in the local newspaper. So we just deposit down payment,
Down payment.
10% of the value, and certain day jump into the car and drove to the court to see what's going on. You remember this moment, Daniel, when you rode
I
there?
remember there was quite a few of us. We were kind of excited, and we're just praying that nobody else will also come for the bid to bid, because if there be two bidders, the price will go high. And so when we came, there was another guy sitting by the door, and we said, so there is somebody else. That's no good, because we didn't have money to raise the price. We didn't have money to pay the real price at that moment, but we didn't have, elevate the price. And so the judge invited us and announced it. Okay, we have only one side that paid deposit, so the only one party that is interested in buying this. And we find out that this guy was just a guy from the local authorities that was just kind of supervising if everything is going according to law. And so we said, whew, yes.
Yeah, it
thank you,
didn't
God.
take a long time to buy it, actually, because it was just us.
Yeah.
They would take away more time to raise the rest of the 90% of money needed to purchase this place. But really, when the court and the judge said, okay, are we still buying this property? We say, we confirm this, then, she goes like, done, sign up the paper. So I signed up the paper, now got it 30 days to raise 90% of the cost of this property. But thanks God and people, and especially to Southeast Christian Church, how they help us to buy it, simply saying, and then we did have some funds and to renovate this place, to set apart. Actually, we were raising these funds for the 10 years to have them, during the time when we were buying this. But saying so, it was so important for us to have this part of the funds set apart because we could do something Well, that's almost impossible to do, right?
So the renovation starts, but before the renovation starts,
Right.
people have to come here and be here because renovation cannot happen if you live in Warsaw and you just make a phone call
That's
to some
right.
people who will come here, maybe renovate for you, maybe not. So you were the first ones making the decision to come here, and well, probably we should talk about it a little bit because it seems natural for many people who come and visit us today from Poland and from around the world that you live here, we live here, that people are coming here now. But at that time, you were living in Warsaw, had a nice apartment, just had a son, had a little puppy with you.
And famous Hajek. Some of you remember him. Or famous.
And you get asked to come and be here most of the week, which means truly move over here and live here. Weren't you scared? Didn't you think, oh no, it's impossible?
No, we were not scared. We were very happy. For us, it was like dream came true. And up to this day, it's the same. We are happy. Every day when we go outside, look around, I cannot believe how pretty place is, what God is doing here, and we can be part of it.
Yeah, but you had to change, I understand, but then you're changing capital city of Poland for a forest. You're changing an apartment for room 103, then you get an extension to 104 because of the baby and because of just a little bit more space. We live in room 102. John and Żaba, they live right downstairs in a little apartment-ish kind of a place. That's a big change for any family.
But that was something that we were, as you said, we're praying for this new place every day. This was like our promised land. You know, we're wandering around Poland, different campground, different locations, renting. Sometimes we had to struggle because the owner of this property that we rented didn't pay the bills for electricity, and we have people coming and nothing is working because they cut off the electricity, or other guy who's promised to be that, he wasn't there. Now we knew that this is finally will be our place that we can do and serve and use the way we want it, and nobody will tell us that no, you cannot do that because it will belong to us. So that was easier because of that, because this was what we're looking for 10 years. And it was hard in the beginning because all our friends were in Warsaw, all our involvement and that time in ministry and basketball, everything was there. And now we come here to Za Kościele, which is, by the way, means behind the church village, which was was also a fun part of that too. And into the jungle, and that time it was really, but it was so. For us, it was just easy. It was just easy, although because that's something that we're looking for 10 years.
Really, I'm trying so hard to remember something sad or bad, but I can't. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just saying this because I think it's important. It was important for us. I remember when we were purchasing this place, we were in the States. We came just for 5 or 7 days, right when you were moving here. So we came to see this. Me and my wife, before we left to the States, we still had an office in Warsaw. Where we were in the States, we already shifted from Warsaw to here. We came, it was like, really? Like, this is going to be our place? How can we imagine living here and stuff? And I think it's important to say, your example, by coming here and saying, yeah, we're moving. And we are coming, made it possible, or even made it possible for us to think, yes, if they can do it, we can do it. If they can do it with one child, we can do it without having kids at that time. It was very, very encouraging. But it wasn't just living here, because of course, living here, eating together, we were joking that people were asking, where do you stay? We would say, well, we got this property, in the forest, you go into your own park with, just to have fun. But the reality was much more serious. We had to renovate this place. It was nothing like what it is today. So the renovation was just 6 months of renovating. Then can you say a couple of words?
Yeah, because we got this in the fall of 2000. We purchased this place, and then in December we were given the key. So December, and we knew in June summer starts and there is no options to go somewhere else because we have our promised land already given to us. So we need to get ready. And as Mao said, it was for 6 years there was a kind of abandoned or abused by some people. There was a really bad shape, and then so we had to do almost everything. So only walls actually are the same. So we had to do the plumbing, the electricity, the insulation, the roofs, purchase the lay tiles, purchase the furniture and everything. And only 6 months. And winters Poland are bad usually. It's cold and a lot of snow. So we pray, God, please, we need miracle. We need some mild winter. And it was the mildest winter of the decades. I don't remember it's such a mild winter. So God was kind of paving the way for us and helping to do it and send people that could do this work, and we had to manage to have up to 50 people at once doing different places. And on Friday at 3 or 4 p.m. we finished the work. On Saturday already our volunteers came, so we had to clean everything. On Sunday kids arrived, and
But for them to arrive, we were expecting 150, 180 kids to come. Well, the rooms were there, the dorms were there, but there was no place to meet. There was no meeting place like the 2 places that we have right now. We had to find a tent, right, Maui? There was a
place to meet.
Place to meet. So obvious thing was just let's get a tent.
That's right.
Yes, because that's where we were meeting before.
The tent is almost the part of our ministry.
That's right. So. But it's another miracle story.
Exactly,
tent, right?
It is, because the parent of the one camper, it just happened to be a tent maker. In the sense not just making a tent physically. So I went to visit with him, asking about some kind of old used tent. He said, no, I'm just producing the new one, and just selling the new one. Well, I said, well, maybe you'll have the old one sometime, so let us know. I'll be glad to buy it because, we're a mission. Your kid is coming to our camp. Okay, let me think, he said. Well, after a few days, I'm calling him back and I said, you have some good news for us. He said, you just came here a few days ago. Nothing has changed. And then he paused for a minute and he said, but you know what? Come and see me tomorrow, maybe we can think about something. Well, I did. Next day, he shows me the old used tent, which they were using as a storage place. He said, okay, I can sell you this one. Great. Price, down payment, again paid. And he said, just came 3 days or whatever, 4 days before the camp starts, it will be there. Make the foots, like a cement for the pillars of that in a certain measurement, and we'll put this tent on you. Well, 3 days before the camp starts, he's calling me that there's a kind of surprise, TS, there'll be tent. I said, oh my gosh, if somebody's talking like that, 3 days before,
Scary.
surprises, I just got scared, it doesn't mean that we don't have a place. No, don't worry. Come afternoon, toward the end of the day. We'll see. Well, I'm coming toward the end of the day. New tent is right there. And I said, well, that's not a tent what we purchased. I said, no, it is not one because I gave you a bad measurement for the foots, for the cement foots, for the pillars. So I decided to give you a new one. I said, I don't have money for that. How I can pay this? I said, I'm not talking about money. It's my mistake. You got it.
Nice.
So I said, Lord,
Lord,
that's how you work.
Yeah,
That's how God works sometimes. Mistakes of other people,
And that was one miracle. Not we call it miracle because it was
That's
miracle.
right.
And this tent, 20 years later, still stands there, still serves as a gym and a game room for kids, and still in great shape because of the mistake. People would say, I would say because of miracle. And then another miracle because we had a tent, but there was no chairs for this tent. So we needed like 250 chairs, and I don't know how it got out of the blue. The guy whose daughter was our camper many years before contacted Maui, and he's not even from our evangelical circles. He's just businessman. He said, hey, I heard you have this place, so can I help you somehow with something? Oh yes, we don't have chairs for kids to sit on. I said, okay, you have a chairs now. He sent the check, just enough for us to purchase the chairs for this. So miracles like
Miracle
this.
after miracle. When you think about stories like this, I think it's always good to remember or remind ourselves, because they all help us remember that we didn't come here by accident, that God was preparing this place long before we knew which place it was, and He showed through in the most important moment in this breakthrough year to show us that He is confirming by these miracles that this is a place for our ministry. So we're here today, 20 years later, from the moment we purchased. Things that are happening that could not happen before. Can you name some of them? Edita, Daniel?
Journey to Bethlehem, Road to Jerusalem, fitness camps, our rancho.
Yeah, work with the disabled people in the Shine and project. Conferences for
men.
churches, for different Christian organizations.
Schools.
They have come the place to use it, and I think all that happens here is very important, and I mean I think it's a blessing for people around, for Poland, but also for just our presence here for local people. We came here. And there was no strangers, they didn't know us, but now we have friends in the village and the villages around us, and
cities too.
And then people, people get to know us. Many of them were able to learn about Jesus through us, and then get involved, even if they're in the activities that we have here, and so we can be also the light for the people around us while we're renting places. We're coming for week or 2 weeks or 5 weeks, and now we're gone. So we would only influence the campers that came. Now we can do some stuff around us too, which is very important. I would say.
And we have international guests as well. Every summer, every year, we have international people coming for different camps and groups of the churches. I'm not going to name it, but there is quite a few of them from America, from Europe, from Ukraine, from Belarus, some other places, which means a lot to us because it gives us this feeling of belonging to the greater, bigger family. And they're not only coming here, but they're coming and praying and going back and sharing about that, supporting us and helping us with the ongoing things here, which I may say without the hesitation that without them, their prayers and their support, we wouldn't be where we are, Rafael, today. So we appreciate them very, very much, and praying about them daily, right? Like we're praying for the camp, now we pray for them and bring them to the Lord. So
thank you.
Story.
Thank you guys for this great story and stories within the story. And
we're not done yet. We have a lot
I know there's so much more to share, but I hope we'll meet again and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about what's going on and some of the initiatives more in details about some of the things that we are able to do here at this place in Zakościele. Thank you very much to all of our viewers and to all of our listeners, and we hope you will hear from us, but we hope you will be there with us also for another episode of our Proem 30 Years podcast. Thank you.
This is Past But Not Gone podcast. 30 years of Proem Ministries.